They shared a love story that felt too real to be fiction. For over a decade, Amy and Ty's bond on Heartland captured hearts across the globe. But what if that undeniable chemistry wasn't just acting? What if the truth behind the scenes was more emotional, more surprising, and far more misunderstood than fans ever imagined? As whispers turned into rumors and curiosity into obsession, fans begged to know. Were Amber Marshall and Graham Wardle just co-stars, or something more? From the very first episode of Heartland, something clicked. Amy Fleming and Ty Borden weren't just characters, they were soulmates on screen. And the people behind them, Amber Marshall and Graham Wardle, brought that connection to life in a way that felt raw, honest, and heartbreakingly real. Their performances weren't just good, they were unforgettable. Every glance, every argument, every moment of joy between them had a spark that made fans feel like they were watching something unfold in real life, not just on a scripted drama. It didn't take long for fans to start asking questions. How could two people act with such genuine emotion without there being something deeper between them? Social media lit up with theories. Fan forums buzzed with speculation. Were they secretly in love? Were they dating off screen? The chemistry was too strong, too natural, to be just acting, or so the audience believed. And the rumors only intensified with time. As the show grew in popularity, so did the spotlight on its stars. Interviews were analyzed, behind-the-scenes photos were dissected. A simple laugh or a shared smile between Amber and Graham became fuel for 1,000 online debates. People didn't just love Ty and Amy, they believed in them. And they wanted that magic to be real, off camera as well as on. But this obsession with their personal lives began to blur lines. The emotional connection fans had with the show started spilling into the actors' realities. While Amber and Graham were both professional and respectful in public, they couldn't stop the tidal wave of attention. Some believed the two were just being private about their relationship. Others were convinced a real-life romance was hidden in plain sight. And even when both actors gave clear answers, not everyone wanted to believe them. What many people didn't see, or didn't want to see, was the foundation of mutual respect that truly defined their connection. Amber and Graham had worked together for over a decade. That kind of time doesn't just create co-workers, it builds trust, comfort, and a deep understanding of each other. Long hours on set, emotionally intense scenes, and growing up together in the public eye brought them closer than most people ever get. But closeness doesn't always mean romance. Still, it's easy to understand why the rumors wouldn't go away. In season 14, when Ty Borden was tragically killed off, the shock was more than just a plot twist. It felt like the end of something sacred. Fans weren't just mourning a character, they were grieving a relationship they had come to believe in. The heartbreak wasn't just Amy's, it was shared by millions who had grown up with their story. And in that grief, the questions returned. Why did Graham leave the show? Was something going on behind the scenes? Did it have anything to do with Amber? The silence from both actors only fueled the speculation, but the truth, as always, was more complex than the rumors, and far more grounded in reality. As speculation continued to grow, it became harder for Amber Marshall and Graham Wardle to separate their real lives from their characters. Fans were deeply attached to Amy and Ty's love story, and many refused to believe that what they saw on screen didn't mirror reality. But eventually, both Amber and Graham decided to address the swirling rumors, not with drama, but with honesty. Graham Wardle, known for being soft-spoken and thoughtful, took the lead in setting the record straight. In several interviews, he spoke openly about his bond with Amber. He never denied the deep connection they shared, but he made one thing clear: they were not a couple in real life. "Amber is one of my dearest friends," he said sincerely. "We've gone through so much together on this journey, and I'll always respect her for the heart and soul she puts into everything she does." It wasn't a dramatic confession. It was real, respectful, and grounded in mutual admiration. He praised Amber not just as an actress, but as a human being, and his words weren't rehearsed or vague. They were honest. Amber, too, echoed those sentiments. She spoke warmly of Graham as a trusted co-star and someone she considered like family after working side by side for so many years. "We've shared such emotional scenes together, but off camera, we've always had a strong, respectful friendship." But even with both actors being transparent, not everyone was satisfied. fans were still holding on to the fantasy. Perhaps it was because Heartland gave them something rare, a romance that wasn't forced, wasn't superficial, and never lost its soul. Ty and Amy's story had depth. It showed real challenges, real love, real loss, and it reminded people of something they longed for in their own lives. Letting go of that, even in the face of facts, was hard. The truth, though, was simple. Amber Marshall had been married to Sean Turner since 2013. Their wedding was a private affair, away from the media. They now live on a beautiful ranch in Alberta, surrounded by horses, dogs, and the peace of country life. Amber often shares glimpses of her real-world happiness, feeding her animals, enjoying the outdoors, and living in a way that closely mirrors her character's values. But this isn't fiction. It's her reality. And Sean, by all accounts, has been nothing but supportive of her career and her connection with fans. Graham, on the other hand, went through a quieter journey. He was once married to Allison Wardle, but they later parted ways. Since then, Graham has stepped back from the spotlight. He left Heartland not because of scandal or conflict, but because he felt a personal calling. He wanted to explore other creative paths, including a podcast called Time Has Come, where he shares stories about growth, transformation, and spirituality. His departure from the show was difficult, for him, for his co-stars, and for the fans. But it was also necessary. When Graham left Heartland, it wasn't the end of something broken. It was the evolution of something whole. He and Amber didn't fall out. There was no secret fight. In fact, they both handled the transition with grace and gratitude. And that says everything about the kind of bond they shared. A real friendship doesn't need to be romantic to be powerful. It can be built on trust, on loyalty, and on years of working side by side to tell a story that moved millions. And perhaps that's what made their chemistry so real. They didn't have to pretend. They cared about each other, not in the way tabloids love to sell, but in a way that lasts longer than a headline. Behind the emotional scenes and touching storylines was a friendship shaped by time, effort, and genuine respect. That's not a fantasy, that's real. But the fascination didn't fade. Even years after Graham's exit, fans still hope for his return. The idea of Amy and Ty sharing one more scene, through a flashback, a dream, or even a memory, is something many hold on to. And while the show may or may not give that closure, the truth remains. What Amber and Graham built on screen was magical. What they built off screen was human. In a world obsessed with headlines and fairy tales, it's easy to forget that not every powerful connection has to be romantic. The story of Amber Marshall and Graham Wardle proves exactly that. For over 14 seasons, they played two people who loved each other deeply. And for over a decade, they stood beside each other as professionals, friends, and creative partners, building a relationship rooted in respect, not romance. That quiet truth has always been there, even when the noise around them grew loud. What many fans never saw were the long hours, the emotional preparation, the late-night shoots, and the exhaustion that came with maintaining such beloved characters. But through it all, Amber and Graham leaned on each other. They didn't need the spotlight to validate their bond. They didn't chase publicity. Instead, they showed what it means to have a working relationship filled with trust, communication, and a shared purpose, telling a story that mattered. Their scenes felt real because their connection was real. Not as lovers, but as two people who cared deeply for each other as friends and professionals. That's what made their performances so honest. They weren't trying to convince anyone of anything. They were simply living the truth of their characters, with the emotional foundation of a strong friendship behind every word spoken on screen. Even after Graham's departure from Heartland, the respect between them hasn't changed. Amber has continued to carry the emotional weight of Ty's absence with grace, honoring both the character and the man who portrayed him. The show still nods to Ty's memory in subtle, meaningful ways, reminders that he may be gone from the screen, but never from the story. And that's not just good writing, it's a reflection of the love and care the cast and creators have for what they've built together. Meanwhile, Graham has found his own path. His podcast, Time Has Come, explores deeper themes: faith, healing, transformation, and though he's stepped away from acting for now, his fans still feel connected to him, not just because of Ty, but because of the vulnerability he shares through his words. His journey is different now, but it's still authentic, and that's why his audience continues to follow him. Through all of this, Amber has remained the heart of Heartland. Her life off screen may be quieter than fans expected, but it's genuine. She's not chasing fame. She's living a life of peace, surrounded by animals and nature, much like Amy. And in her interviews, her words are consistent. She's grateful, she's grounded, and she's proud of what she and Graham created together. Not as a couple, but as a team. The truth about their relationship isn't flashy. It's not a tabloid headline or a secret romance. It's better, it's real. It's the story of two people who came together to tell one of the most moving love stories on television and walked away with something just as meaningful, a lasting, unshakable friendship. For the fans still hoping for a reunion, the dream lives on. Whether it happens on screen or not, the impact of Amy and Ty, and of Amber and Graham, will never fade. Because what they gave us wasn't just a fictional romance. It was a reminder of what great storytelling, great acting, and genuine human connection can do. It touched hearts, it changed lives, and it will be remembered for years to come. So no, they were never a couple. But maybe, just maybe, their friendship is the kind of love story that's even more rare. One without drama, without secrets, just trust, loyalty, and quiet strength. And in a world that often confuses love with noise, their bond speaks volumes in silence. If that's not real, then what is? Some stories leave a mark, not because they ended in romance, but because they were real, honest, and deeply human. The connection between Amber Marshall and Graham Wardle is one of those rare stories. It wasn't built on gossip or fan fiction. It was built on years of hard work, mutual respect, and a shared love for storytelling. While the world watched Ty and Amy fall in love, what grew behind the scenes was something just as powerful. A friendship that stood the test of time, fame, and change. Not every meaningful relationship needs a label. Some simply exist, quietly, without needing to prove themselves. And that's what makes them so beautiful. As fans, it's natural to hold on to the characters we love. It's human to wish that the magic we see on screen might extend into reality. But sometimes, the truth is even more inspiring than the fantasy, because it reminds us that deep, lasting bonds don't always look the way we expect, but they're just as real. So the next time you rewatch an old Heartland episode, remember what made Amy and Ty's story so unforgettable. It wasn't just the script. It wasn't just the romance. It was the energy of two actors who gave everything they had to create something authentic, something that touched lives. Amber and Graham may have gone their separate ways in life, but the legacy they built together will always live on. Not in rumors, not in fan theories, but in the hearts of the people they moved. With a story that felt so real, we forgot it was fiction. And maybe, just maybe, that's the most powerful kind of story of all. If this touched your heart, let us know in the comments. Share your favorite Ty and Amy moment, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more heartfelt stories just like this one. Until next time, take care, and keep believing in the power of real connection. Even though the curtain has closed on Ty and Amy's love story, the emotions they stirred remain alive in the hearts of millions. Their journey reminded us of the beauty and patience, the strength and loyalty, and the pain of letting go. But above all, it reminded us of the kind of connection that doesn't need constant noise. It simply speaks through presence, through silence, through trust. Amber Marshall and Graham Wardle didn't just play characters, they gave us a reflection of what love and friendship can truly be. And even though their paths now lead in different directions, the legacy they created together will forever be a part of Heartland's soul and a part of us. So thank you, Amber and Graham, for the honesty, the emotion, and the quiet strength behind the story. And to everyone watching, never forget, sometimes the most unforgettable relationships aren't found in fairy tales, but in real, unspoken bonds.